entertained to know that AJ and Tristan use Discord on a regular basis to talk back and forth with their little friends. And I just introduced them to Craig.
Oh, nice.
He was like, Craig? He was like, yeah, Craig.
I'm still getting the hang of it. I have instead of doing the, you know how I did the Madden League for so long?
Yeah.
I'm doing it on Discord because we have a 2K NBA league on Discord, and it's pretty cool. So I have the bot that actually automatically lets everybody know that I'm streaming online and everything like that for the games and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I'm trying to decide if I'm going to grab this 2K that's for free for like 2 more days or just wait for Kobe's edition. No. If the Kobe edition is anything like the Mike edition, I definitely want the Kobe edition.
Well,
the Mike edition was dope.
I'm gonna get the Kobe edition just because I'm debating whether I should get the disc or not, because you know I'm debating getting the all digital PS5. So the disc would be just a commemorative item at this point, and I have too much of those on my mantle. So I don't have any more room for anything else, so I might just...
I'm definitely getting a digital, because I noticed, actually, it was Sonia who brought it out. Like, I haven't brought a physical game in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's going to go. Unfortunately, it's going to phase out places like GameStop and stuff like that, but I'm sure they can get a good deal on selling their store.
Shit, Corona's phasing out GameStop.
I just need them to drop the price on that NCAA 14, and then we'll be all good.
Man. That is that's a.
Remember how Capcom versus Marvel used to be like a rare game for the Dreamcast?
Yeah.
People were getting 240. That's what this has become now, because I guess it still works. You can still download rosters and stuff like that. So weird, but welcome to. We're back.
Recording?
Yeah, we've been recording this whole time. Kind of like other. Sneaking in there. Candy.
We don't have any illegal music we could play in that we're going to get muted out of?
It doesn't really work when we do it this way. We'll have to add it like later.
Yeah.
Got it. $69.99 for a 6-year-old game? Damn.
One that the servers just went down last year. They finally took them down because people were still doing online dynasties and stuff like that. But it is what it is. 2K just got their official NFL license for the players, so they can use real players. They don't have to use the real teams, but they can use real players on football teams. So we might finally get football back on 2K.
Right.
I'm excited about it. See, this is what happens when you're in quarantine. You have to look forward to digital downloads because you can't go to the store and buy it yourself without wearing a mask. Today's episode will be brought to you by several,
it's brought to you by Lysol, goddammit.
Lysol, masks, social distancing. I think we got the 6 feet covered today.
Yep.
Get into it.
These are the times.
Where have we been?
Well, I've been growing hair.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
Right,
Mine would have been just as long as yours. We could have been like the new age. Maybe we could have been hip hop's version of ZZ Top. Missed a real opportunity there, but as I guess all 3 of us can attest, we're all essential. So it's been nonstop for me. For those that don't know, I work for the law department for one of the government agencies that handles all the transit for Chicago, and yeah, it's been kind of crazy, but it's been more telling about all the issues that need to be addressed around the city. Mental health, homelessness and stuff like that. When they opened it up and let everybody on the buses, it seemed like a free-for-all, and we had a lot more cases dealing with that stuff. So it's kind of disheartening at the same time, and it's like you're trying to do your job at the same time. But it's like it's tough because these people have no choice and no other options right now. But no, it's been busy and trying to take care of my family, you know, and that goes with my grandparents going to the store with masks, trying to come home, sanitize all their groceries because they've been having health problems. So it's trying to stay as clean and healthy as possible so I don't get anybody else messed up and therefore I can help where I'm needed. So
One thing I just noticed about
keep your voice on. And parenting a 10-year-old in the process.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a 10-year-old. No. So what the hell else are you buying? I hate these little things that PlayStation for your purchase. What else did you buy? Unbelievable. How about yourself, Rob?
Selling drugs.
Sweet.
Been lucky because my corner, the only corner that didn't get shut down because of Corona, the only corner that didn't get shut down because of looting. So, you know,
Don't forget the only corner that didn't get driven into by a CTA bus.
Exactly, yeah.
Man.
So I've been that lucky. Also lucky that my corner is near Mayor Lightfoot's house, like right around the corner.
Yeah, literally down the street.
So, you know, it's fun there. I guess lucky for us, she's finally moving, and I think she copped a house over in Skokie or Saugatuck.
I thought I was like, Skokie. She gets a house in Skokie. Doesn't it violate the terms of a city of Chicago employee that you have to stay within the city of Chicago during your employment?
Nobody plays by those rules. Like all the people that work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we had a lady that accidentally put that she had a house in Indiana, and they packed up her stuff for her, and then gave it to her on the way before she even walked in the other day. Few months ago, I was like, oh shit. That's why I'm scared to move to like Oak Park or anything else. It's like I need that Chicago address.
Yeah.
So you can't even like have a crib in the city and another crib out of the city?
You think I get paid like that?
I'm not saying you. I'm saying like, oh, girlfriend. Because I don't think Lori's going to sell the crib. I just think she's buying another one.
She got money like that, I guess.
I remember when I lived in Springfield when Blagojevich was governor, and he was never at the crib.
Correct. Yeah. But I think I think when you're in at least mayor or governor, you get like a stipend to take care of your crib. Many other public officials have that kind of option where, for example, if you're a congressperson, you get a house paid, like a crib paid for in DC to go to. So I would imagine that something similar would take foot in this case. That she'd get a condo out in, Skokie or something like that and just keep that crib. Let the city pay for it.
It's okay. We pay for everything else except potholes. Except for teachers, pensions, masks, hand sanitizer, mental health. We got a list.
You just got to go to your closest brewery to get hand sanitizer these days because they switched over.
Not anymore. A lot of those are broken. It was crazy. They had one. I don't know if you guys saw in the news that Guthrie's Tavern. That's right here on Addison.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like people outside line about like a block and a half all the way down to Southport in line to get a beer to help him close his bar. I'm like, the sentiment is great, but where was that when he was actually open?
I don't know. I struggle with that closing because it just seemed like he just refused to adapt.
Yeah, I mean,
there are a lot of places. I mean, especially out where I am, where they just made, put small tables and chairs outside and adjusted that way.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like he just refused to do it.
There's some people, and I mean, we're here all the time, right? Adapt or die.
Yeah. I mean, he could have turned, what Sub T did for a while, turned one of their windows into almost like a walk-up window. He could have done something like that.
You can walk inside a Sub T now. They have.
Yes, you can. Yeah, they got the
the West Side treatment, as I call it now.
Yeah, with the little boy cups.
Bulletproof glass.
Yeah, my favorite little hot dog stand over there on Elston in St. Louis. They got the same. They've had the same thing, and they got the heavy Korean accent, so it's like really hard. I was like, I'm just gonna point at the me.
Right.
Let me get that. Let me get that number one, please. What about you, Shaun? How's everything been with you?
Work in a hospital during COVID. Just gonna leave it at that. No, I mean, mainly, definitely over the last month, mental health has been a big thing in our household. Kind of recognizing that everything was kind of getting to us. Each finding our own way to adjust. For example, my oldest daughter right now is in a hotel room. Just like I need to get away from family, which you got to understand right now. Each recognizing our own methods. And recently for me, it's been just keeping busy. I got to do something instead of sitting around the house thinking about, things. That's been the hardest part about this for me. Other than that, I don't know. Basically, when you look out the window, you're in good health. You got a roof over your head. You got a job. Your family's good. If, anxiety is the only thing you have to worry about, I'm not going to say it's a good day, but you definitely count your blessings.
Yeah. Anxiety was always right here, but now it's
Oh, man.
Now that I'm off the buses, I think my anxiety level is like I've calmed down a lot more now. It's like I can breathe a little bit clearer. Yeah. It's like going all the way. I mean, it's one thing to do all the way across the city, but man, it's like it's tough. It was tough for those first what month are we on?
Right. And it's just, I'll speak for myself where like you work at a hospital, work for a hospital, and you go through, in my case, maybe, Sundays, 10 to 12 hours of, working against COVID, and you step out and you see a park full of people just fucking off.
Yeah.
It's like really
I think that was the biggest thing too. I tried to stay off of social media a little bit because, you got all these friends that are posting, social distance, wear a mask, but yet they're out brunching in a patio that's overstacked in Lincoln Park on a street that they close off. It's like, yeah, it's kind of tough to swallow that while I have to go with people's germs. I can only imagine how it is when people walk up to your drug establishment.
Oh yeah. This thing where they kind of really being fickle on whether or not they're going to enforce masks and so like what they expect us to do on our level about it. It's been frustrating. But for me, I just feel like I'm still trying to figure out how life goes on. Because before all of this happened, like I feel like I was on a trajectory out, and I'm still trying to stay on that. I don't let any of this other stuff kind of bother me, and I'm just not trying to worry about it for the most part.
How?
Like everybody deals with their frustrations, but for the most part, everybody that I know personally is straight.
Yeah.
So that I can keep going, trying to do what I'm trying to do out here. So.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that was like nerve-wracking too, because like when we're out there, we start to see people that we know that are affected by it, caught it, and your circle seems to get smaller and smaller. And then my grandmother was in the hospital, and I think everybody that my aunts and uncles and my cousin that kind of we all pitch in together, like freaking out. I was like, man, if she goes to the hospital, what's the guarantee that she doesn't catch it while she's in there? And I was like, it's tough. And these are the times that we're going to have to sit with for the next few months until something gives. But it's like already too, it's like you're already starting to hear people, well, do we want to take the vaccine or do you want to let somebody else take it first and see how it goes? It's like, what do you do?
I don't know. I'm just fascinated by the fact that people can distrust all aspects of Corona at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I distrust the mask. I distrust the vaccine. I distrust that, you know, Corona exists. And it's you can't. I'm not gonna say can't, but I find it hard to grasp that all of these things can happen once inside your head. You know, just ignoring the science part of it, you know, and ignoring the common sense of it. But at the same time, like, I can't stand Trump either. I'm like, all right, what are you doing? Are you just in the ocean float, treading water, waiting to drown? Or
Homeboy's more worried about TikTok than he is anything else. And for somebody that cares
that's a whole nother podcast, man.
Yeah. I mean, we got time.
Because
talking about his economy.
Bill Gates trying to save TikTok and the world at the same time. I'm not sure. I mean, I want time and money like that, where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to save the world with a vaccine. But I'm also gonna buy TikTok because Trump hates it. Like, why doesn't Gates just run for president and call it a day?
Well, I mean, I don't know who the fuck we want as president anymore. Is it the point that we reached that it's like anybody else but him? It's wild. But I mean, you saw what Bezos' ex-wife did with her money. Donated a few billion to racial injustice programs, Black Lives Matters, all these mental illness groups. So at least she's doing something with it, and that kind of went under the radar. Not much news about it, I mean, that's
kind of happens when you're a woman with money.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a sign of how far we still need to go in this society too. It's nuts.
Like Michael Jordan, actively not donated, used $2.5 million to start a organization focused on voter suppression.
Yeah,
you didn't hear that anywhere.
No.
It was like a side blip on the back in the sports section.
We're still talking about The Last Dance.
Right.
Yeah, it's just it is what we can. It is what it is. Stay strong in our faith. Stay strong in our sanitary habits, and hope for the best. And pick up whatever sanitizer or wipe. I don't know how many Clorox wipes we've found in single. Come here.
Yeah, I'm driving the missus crazy because we've been using Amazon Fresh here and there.
Okay.
And if you order it like 5 or 6 in the morning for later delivery, you can get Lysol.
Okay.
So, but they only let you do one at a time.
Wrestling tip.
They only let you do one at a time, but it's like a 20-ounce damn container. So it's legit.
If you do one a day.
Right. So we got a few cans laying around the house. She just looks at me like, do we? And I'm like, yeah, we do.
You can use it as lovely parting gifts when we actually link up.
Right.
Like, oh, here, you look like
and that's what I told her. I'd rather grab all this stuff and not need it than need it and not have it. That's the Simpson family philosophy.
Exactly. Dr. Tina and all the coupon fairies out there.
Right.
No. 10-year-old doesn't understand the concept that we're recording, so let me just yell on the damn microphone.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I would like to throw this at him. I'm pretty sure I still got my arm.
Try me.
He said, "Try me."
Wow.
Wow. Let me give you a virtual.
Yo, we can pause this whole thing.
You going for yeah, I love you now. All of a sudden,
Right.
he
Doesn't
saw
understand like this
no,
can be
he saw the
paused.
Puerto Rican flag start illuminating. It's like my anger meter going up.
Right.
Oh shit! You don't want to get me started, kid.
If the color fills in, run.
It's my super combo. He learned about the super combo. We bought the Dragon Ball game for the Switch.
Okay.
Okay.
Gave him a 72 piece and a biscuit.
Wow.
Game over. I think I did pull the Avengers. It's like, don't you ever hit me with a meteor again? Yeah, I did that. But yeah, I mean,
So what do you guys want to let the people know about the Watching Wrestling podcast?
we're still alive.
1,500.
Well, I mean, I guess we should talk about why we went away. I mean, and I'll share first and just speak my personal view on it. And I'm still in that place a little bit. You know, I'm starting to come out, but I just got to a place during this whole quarantine where wrestling didn't mean shit to me. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, from a priority standpoint, from a what wrestling meant in the big scope of things, you know, it
I even get someone one thing.
you know, I'm still kind of, how I say, I won't even call it on the fence, just in a weird place as it relates to should there be wrestling right now. You know, if we're telling our, you know, we're all fathers and we're all, you know, concerned about, you know, how schools are going to work, you know, in a short couple months. Yet we feel that, you know, wrestling is necessary. You know, I'm not saying we, but I'm just saying that's what it seems like to some people. You know, you have full baseball teams who have shut down in a pretty much non-contact sport.
Cardinals today.
Right. Yet, you know, we have billionaires, and let's just call it what it is, two billionaire families who feel necessary for wrestling to happen. Now, I won't count its, you know, discount its entertainment value, its distraction ability. And I applaud other organizations who don't have as much money, you know, trying to make it work. I struggle even to this moment, even though I've started to watch wrestling again on a very, should I say, lapse scale, as I use Ray's word. I can't give it the same oomph that I used to. You know, I just can't. You know, I applaud some efforts that have been made, but I also believe there's some blatant abuse as it relates to, you know, making people do things in an unsafe environment. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I've seen some things over the last month or so that have been encouraging, and did some research as it relates to, you know, organizations who are, you know, trying to make moves, and, you know, some organizations where the performers have more of a voice in the matter than others. So that allows me to actually enjoy watching what I see on the screen a bit, knowing that, you know, the performers are invested in, and, you know, they have a voice in the matter. You know, while other places, they don't have a voice at all. You're just told to show up and go to work or not get a paycheck. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, for me, it's just my attention's been so divided among everywhere, you know. And I won't lie to you. The crowd makes a big difference being absent in it, like bringing that same energy and stuff like that. I mean, for a little while it was cool. I think WrestleMania was the last pay-per-view that I watched.
Okay.
That was a while ago. I don't really watch. The only thing that I've been really engaged in is the Cody Rhodes, the Open Challenge, because that's been cool. That the fact that he's highlighting other wrestlers that aren't, like we talked about Sonny Kiss a while back on this podcast. Sonny Kiss got a chance to show out. He really, boosted his reputation for everybody to see that it's not just, not just a gimmick. He can actually go, and he was really good. Warhorse being, champion. I've been following a lot more Twitter than I have actual wrestling shows,
Okay.
just to kind of gauge what the crowd and everything like that. And obviously like the major players like Salah Monster and everybody else, it's they continuously do it because it's a part of their program to make sure they review these shows and stuff like that. But I mean, to see the Eddie Kingston on and then he gets signed with the company a couple of weeks later, for every bit of skepticism that I have about them wrestling, but they're doing it in Florida because Florida just is its own separate country. It does what it wants, and we've seen that with the multiple thousands of cases that happen there left and right. You just can't help but like cringe, like whether it's even worth it. I just don't. As much as I love sports, as much as I love wrestling, I just don't see it as putting these people in risk. The same thing with the baseball players. They're getting so much shit about opting to stay home. I just got married and I got a child on the way. Why do I want to put myself at risk? If the whole plan, the safety protocol is to go to the gym, then go to the ballpark, and then go back to the hotel. There are several teams that are failing that protocol. When you got half the Miami team positive, you got a few on the Reds, and now more than 4 or 5 now on St. Louis. It's not worth it, and these people. And I think the worst part about it is like, well, that's what kind of turns me off about the whole thing, because it's like the argument going back and forth. Well, if doctors, pharmacists, people go to work every day, they should be able to go to work every day. It's like, no, they get paid for different things. Why? They're the same people as you and I. Nothing separates them except they have an extraordinary job, and they get paid really well for what they do. But I'm not gonna sit there and crap on anybody about choosing to stay home and safe with their families. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just it's hard to follow. It really is. It's just been in like a weird limbo, kind of like where I was before I started watching wrestling again. It's like if it's on and it seems interesting, cool, but right now it's hard. There's a lot more conversations that are going on around us that seem much more relevant than wrestling. Especially we saw with the George Floyd case, Breonna Taylor, Arbery from Georgia, all these cases that continuously happen on a daily basis. The protesting that's going around, the very daily attempts of obstructing our basic rights. It's like that seems to be a little bit more prevalent now for me than it watching a 2-hour show on a Wednesday night. I'm all over the place. Squirrel. But it's you said it in our private chat the other day. I was like, I do miss the camaraderie because I miss my brothers hanging out, snacking, trying to get somebody to pay us for dropping Sprites and pretzels and bagel bites and stuff like that. It's like we're still looking for sponsors in this time, but and I miss that wrestling brought us together in the same household so we can watch this stuff. It's different watching and texting each other because we're never seem to be on the same the same stream. Sean's nodding like this because he's ruined a few. It's like, oh, I'm muting you guys. I haven't seen that part yet.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely been tough. But it's like, I feel there's like even today, just being able to see you guys through Zoom, this is a little therapeutic. It's like we should do a lot more, even if it has nothing to do with wrestling. It's just us recording and sharing our thoughts around us and everything like that, and just being human for a second.
Right, and that's part of, you know, why we're back, because the reality is we can't just sit around waiting for this cloud to just dissipate. And the longer we do, the struggle as it relates to just keeping a daily sense of calm is difficult. And, you know, many of the things that we love to do are suspended right now. So this is something that we love to do, and we can definitely do it. You know, we may change how we look at it, you know, as we don't, you know, we don't have as much regular programming as we used to evaluate. We don't have as many shows, obviously, to go to enjoy. But I think one thing we can't ignore is that there's stories out there that deserve attention and deserve discussion. You know, not that we need to go back to it, but, you know, definitely, you know, speaking out was one, you know, or is one. You know, I kind of still feel disappointed that I was not let down by the fact that that momentum kind of faded away as quickly as it did, in my opinion. You have others like the Naomi situation, you know, that deserve more discussion. You know, and I feel like even though wrestling may not be where it was in our hearts or just in reality, we still play a role in where it can be. You know, and igniting discussions that need to be had, regardless if they're actual shows, indie shows, or pay-per-views, live events that are happening or not. Rod, you mad quiet.
I was waiting on my turn. Waiting on my turn in parenting here. Here's what it is for me. At the start of this whole lockdown thing, I found myself in a situation where it really was just a technical difficulty. That the way that I view it, a small technical difficulty that snowballed into us not being able to do the show anymore. I was stuck in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, pretty much at the beginning of when all of this started. And I was just in a sucky hotel that had bad Wi-Fi. That was it. That's it for me in terms of not being able to do the show. When I came back, I was charged and I was ready. What I've tried to convey to you guys and what I've tried to also convey to the audience is that this is what I want to do. I have, you know, it's not in terms of content, because, you know, I have things that, you know, said a lot of people want and things I should be grateful for, and I understand that, but like, this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And so it's always been about trying to figure out how to do this. This was a great thing that you guys wanted to jump in on, you know, on this. so that I didn't have to do this alone. I didn't have to figure it out by myself. But my absence has been more in respect of the situation and how it affects you guys. So now I've had similar turmoils mentally and just work wise or whatever. But I just feel like I just have this determination that I was never going to let that bother me. My challenge has always been being able to create and produce content by myself versus having a team. To me, that was my only obstacle. Like all the other stuff that's going on, not only was I not going to let it bother me, but I can actually use that. I always felt like the premise of our show was always the conversations that took in between shows. One of the last episodes that we recorded was the subject. I don't watch wrestling shows. I barely watch pay-per-views. I hardly ever pay for them. I paid for only 3 pay-per-views in my entire life. I don't have cable. And even with like the YouTube shows, it's sometimes. Usually when social media starts talking about a good match, those are the ones I'll go out on my way to watch because that's what I really care about the most out of everything in terms of actually watching wrestling. Raw and SmackDown were crappy shows before the pandemic. They've only gotten worse with a couple of, moments. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was never my intention to come on to have a show where we talked about shows. It was never my intention to have a show where we did pay-per-view rundowns. It was never my intention to talk about the actual product. If you want to see what's going on with wrestling, go watch it. If you dare. I feel like if we were the type of show and if we had that responsibility to watch Raw and SmackDown and NXT and AEW, would drive yourself crazy. There was so many things that would just not make sense. I'm not going to drive myself crazy, but I believe if you take all of that out, as Shaun said, there's still so many things to talk about. And I always felt like for us, the Wisemen Wrestling Podcast, that was our niche. Wisemen Wrestling Podcast, surprise, it's a costume. It's a gimmick. Because we can take things that are happening with wrestlers or within the world of professional wrestling and spiral out to all these other bigger and more important things to talk about. Because the Black Lives Matter thing also affects professional wrestling. Corona also affects professional wrestling. If you look at what's happening with sports, it was all innovated from the WWE. The WWE did it first. Everybody looked at the WWE and said, well, we can make it work. And now we got Fighter Island. And now we got, arena sports coming back. Vince did that first. And my whole thing was, okay, if you want to know what's going on or how this is happening, we can tell you why, the NBA has a bubble is because, NXT had a bubble. This is not new to us. So it was just our niche of being able to become part of these bigger conversations using the guys of professional wrestling. If you go all the way back to like the cool days, when people, who were not fans were paying attention to wrestling, it wasn't because of wrestling aspects. The NWO was gangster. You know what I mean?
Right. You had everybody out there.
That was just something that they used to push a product, but we knew what that was about. You know what I'm saying? Because of what we grew up with. So it was relatable. So like the conversation has always been about what happens when those cameras are not running. What happens when they're not trying to broadcast to us. And sometimes we'll talk about, that's a crappy storyline. What did I just watch?
More often than not, too.
Exactly, but that would get repetitive. That would get redundant. So to me, the vision was always to have those other conversations and for us to transition. You know what I'm saying? Using wrestling to transition to have those bigger conversations. So, you know, I wouldn't have said that we would have had, if we were all focused and determined on it, that we would have weathered the storm. But, you know, I'm looking at, you know, some other situations that didn't have to stop. So I always took it as, you know, there's a real life aspect to us, you know, like that everybody can, you know, it's a new way of life. And we're all starting to figure out how to navigate and how to, you know, so continue to have a life, continue to raise our kids, you know what I'm saying, continue to pay our bills. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's new. But for me personally, I've always been fascinated with the new. I've always been fascinated with the what's next. I always knew that, you know, some paradigm shift was going to happen. I guess, low-key, I was already prepared for it. In terms of how to handle that mentally. Like, something's going to happen, and then we're going to all have to find a new way to live. I'm low-key a conspiracy theory nerd, so for me, it's always kind of prepared me. And, you know, I'm sitting in a space where, you know, maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago, people were calling me crazy, but I'm like, see? This is what's happening. Now we have to adapt. I always look at these situations as opportunities. You know, so, you know, I understand it matters what who the president is and who the mayor is and who the elected officials are, and you know, so to me, it's always been about, okay, when they're in office, here's the set of rules that you have to play by. When this person's in office, here's a different set of rules you have to play by. Still got to win the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I kind of always look at it. That's why I don't talk politics. Might as well just talk wrestling because it's the same shit. In my opinion. But, like, at the end of the day, it's like, you can't let it get, for me, you just can't let it get you bogged down. It's just a different set of rules we got to play. We still got to win. Because you look at who would we call our peers in this space. They found a way to, you know, say, navigate through and win, you know, so they continue to win. I don't see any different for us. We just have to be ready.
Okay.
Whether it's a swimming pool, whether it's a lake, whether it's an ocean, opportunity to swim with anybody that's not swimming. And that's how I look at it. So if it's a hiatus that we needed, I'm good with that. But if you guys want to continue, I'm ready. Because this is what I want to do.
I'm like inspired to record 4 more hours, bro. That's like, I'm about to start pulling. I'm already looking for content we can start talking about. Let's go. No, I mean,
I remain inspired because I'm still paying attention to, like I said, our peers. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, the Joe Budden podcast, they took like 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
Then they found a way to make it work. Same thing with Solomon never stopped. He just pretty much upped his content.
Right.
But that's because he's in a situation where he works from home and everything like that. So, shouts to him. Who else was I paying attention to? Jesus and Mero was supposed to end their show.
Yeah.
At episode 200, and now they're, you know, saying they're going even stronger than before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The brand is strong with them.
So, shouts out to them. I mean, to me, these are just people who are just, okay, here are the rules, and here's how we can make it. Here's the way through the maze. So,
yeah,
I want to figure out that puzzle too.
Yeah, I agree.
And shout out to Barstool Sports. I will sell out for $75,000. Because I feel like I hear that's the gore right now. Shout out to Joe Rogan.
I don't know if I don't think I ever want to shout out to Joe Rogan. I mean, to each their own.
I'll put on this. I'll give people their props on making their money, but
right, that's where it stops.
Congratulations on securing the bag. Move along.
Yeah.
Right.
Make some space for us.
I gotta get my sponsor. Hold on.
Oh, my sponsor is Izzy. That cool, refreshing drink. I don't even know what the fuck it is, but it's fantastic. I found it in the top aisle of maybe
About
one
these
of the
chips 2 days ago.
Nice. Those are Tina's favorite.
He's coming to save the day for our ASMR crowd. You hear those ruffles crunching?
Right.
You know you got a mute button on that mic I lent you. It's working. But yeah, I would like to get back into it. I think it helps. I think it helps that it's earlier too. To be completely honest, it's not like we got anywhere to go. But no, I would really like to get back into it. Like I said, we do have several conversations that need to be had. We did we did have the conversation when it came to the speaking out, the movement. We did use the platform to screenshot a lot of the victim stories. We didn't offer our opinion on it because this wasn't our time to speak on it. It was time to just shut up and listen. And there was no victim shaming, nothing of that. We just shared every bit of story that came out. We retweeted it, we posted it on our Instagram, and we kept it moving. But there are other stories to talk about. Wrestling is never devoid of content.
Right. Whether it's inside or outside the ring.
Correct. And we see that. Yeah, we've seen. Shout out to Lord Adrian. They're still pushing. Now they have their own wrestling ring.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, they need our support. It almost doesn't make sense how, like, you got a guy who's pushing our content daily, and no one wants to say their name, and I don't understand why. So we need to talk about that.
I mean, we could talk about the conversation on why and everything like that. It's going to be uncomfortable for some people, but I don't give a shit about making people feel comfortable or not. We just need to have the conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anytime I get a chance to see that his content is gold.
It really is.
The gender reveal was hysterical. Okay, here we go. I guess we're doing this. But no, it's been fun to watch, especially a lot of the creatives that are out there. Shit, even on TikTok. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, as we're faced with losing TikTok, I've gotten really into the music bag, watching there are just so many people out there. They're just talented. That just, hey, even in this quarantine, they're gonna use whatever platform they can to just push out their content and make sure that they get noticed. And man, there's so many people out there with some beautiful voices, just amazing talent, and it's pretty cool to see. I literally. My wife kind of gave me some shit because I was up to like maybe 3:30 in the morning, just scrolling, just listening to everything. Some good stuff on here. It's just not all the prank shit. There's some quality content here. But I mean, one of the things I am excited about, like we talked about, is the possible Big E push now that everybody's injured. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it's been about 10 years.
We'll see how long it goes before Booker T decides to chime in.
Heck, man.
He already did.
He already did
already. Yeah. He said, he basically said if Big E wants to be successful in his singles run, he has to shed the New Day gimmick.
Oh, and then what do you call it? He rolled down the ramp yesterday in response. The entire ramp.
Yeah.
Like, no, man, that's why we.
He said he can't. And the funny thing is, I think that's something similar he said about Kofi during his championship run, is that he needed to separate which
So
I admit I was wrong about as well.
you've been wanting them to break up.
You know what? I just want a damn good angle. You know, and I thought that was a pretty good one. You know, when the Shield broke up for a while, that was hot for like a summer. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I can admit when I'm wrong when it comes to that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Booker T, you know, I think one of the, I'll say, taglines of the last few months is, you know, we need wrestling active just so we don't have to listen to Booker T. I'm just saying, like, the world's been so quiet, you know, because, you know, and understandably so many creators have been silent, so many organizations have been silent. That
except for Griselda Records, who just put out another album. We gotta get you up on that.
That's another podcast, man.
No, they're all wrestling fans, so it works.
You know, I've been exposed to so much music over the last couple of days, watching Virtual Lollapalooza, that I've been taking notes. So. Isn't
it funny that even during Virtual Lollapalooza, you want to turn the shit off, walk away like you would if you were at Lollapalooza? Like,
you know what, man?
Not for me right now.
You know, I first of all, I didn't know they were doing a Virtual Lollapalooza until I walked in the house and it was on in my house. But I don't know. I took it as an opportunity. You know, like I will be the first to admit my music taste, while diverse, is very selective. And I will go through Spotify and be like, nope. Oh, I know them. Wow. You know.
So he's the reason why he has to pay $9.95 a month for Spotify, so he can get those extra skips.
Right. And so that everyone in my family can do the same.
Same way.
But no, it's just, you know, actually, it was a list on Spotify that I listened to earlier in the week that told me I need a diverse. I listened to Gamers Hip Hop, which is a Spotify playlist or whatever and I literally listened to that thing for 3 hours straight and did not know anyone who was on there. I didn't know a soul. But I was able to just, like, it was just a groove. Like, it was a vibe. Like, I was literally able to just chill and watch that for hours.
I thought for a second me and Rod were, like, scrolling through Spotify. I'm like, what, let me see what he's talking about here.
It's there. I'm not making it up. But
no, I see it because it pops up on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
When you're listening through the PlayStation and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's my daughter listens to a lot of it too, and I think a lot of it is DRM free. So it's something that also can help out creators when they're like doing their Twitch streams and things like that. They don't have to worry about copyright strikes. So
I've just been so into Tidal lately, though. The content that they're pushing out with the verses and with the playlist and everything like that. I mean, it's pretty cool. And then when you get into the ugly business of how much these artists actually make from all these platforms, and then find out that Tidal makes the most, but everybody ignores Tidal, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no, and plus, ever since this merger with Sprint and T-Mobile, I've been reaping the benefits of a free premium Tidal subscription while you have Sprint, and then got MLB TV for free. So I'm in heaven. Watch a game and listen to some hip hop at the same time. I'm happy guy. But no, yeah, it's been interesting. The news has been interesting too, especially with the talk about the free agents, where AEW hasn't released anybody, but WWE released a hell of a lot of people.
Well, AEW didn't have anywhere close to a bloated roster like WWE had.
That's the problem. You got all these toys and nowhere to play.
Yeah, WWE, and it's coming out now. One of the stories that I think isn't getting talked enough about is it is coming out that WWE was just hoarding people so they wouldn't go anywhere else.
We said that.
Right, but I mean now the stars are talking about it. You know, Luke and Gallows, who like have been very open with the fact like we understand now we were just being held so we wouldn't go somewhere else.
Yeah.
He gave us a mess load of money that we couldn't ignore. You know, now they're in a different space now, which is cool. You know, but it's just AEW. I guess we could still say was still growing their roster.
They still are to this day.
Yeah, and they are. I mean, I'm again not perfect, but I love what they're doing as it relates to, should I say, exposing the world to indie wrestling on a mainstream level.
Yes.
That's something that NXT was doing for a while. That was awesome, and I think they just lost their way in that regard. After going to USA, frankly, but lately, and especially with the TNT Championship, bringing these indie guys in that a mainstream casual fan has never heard of intentionally.
Yeah.
Intentionally,
and letting them show out too.
Yeah, WWE fan has no idea who the hell Eddie Kingston is. But the moment he walked out there and started his promo, I lit up. I was like, yo. Like, I didn't expect the cat.
Wrestling Twitter has lost their mind with, I mean, they've been clamoring for Warhorse for weeks, and then what happens with that interview with Arn Anderson? He's like, everybody's talking about this Warhorse kid. I'm like,
I got $100 for anybody that tries to tell me they thought the name Warhorse was going to ever come out of Arn Anderson's mouth before that moment.
I didn't expect it either. I thought they were going to try to go back the angle like MJF or something like that.
Right, that's what
kind of ruined it, but it's like
or Matt Cardona or something to that effect, or Rusev. But he hit Warhouse. I was like, yo.
But and Cody's been talking about that. Two of the hottest free agents out there, and they already signed one of them, was Matt Cardona and Rusev, and they've already got Cardona on a limited contract where it's like 4 appearances for now. It's like a short-term contract.
I think they do that with a lot of people.
It's smart.
It's on the low, where they sign them to a few appearance deals as kind of a tryout deal kind of thing. Kind of a let's see if this is a mutual fit.
Yeah.
Makes sense. See if this works for you, and see if it works for us. Especially with some of these guys, like I think Ricky Starks had a similar deal before he officially signed. It's just very interesting to see where they take it. And this is where I began to get excited again, to be honest with you, when it came to the Open Challenge. Because, I want to see people that we never seen in AEW pop up. And even if they don't come back, I just want to see them try different things. Because I think what they're doing with the TNT belt is promoting other wrestling brands and helping these guys keep their brand up. So when they go other places, that shine will be there for the other companies when they're ready to, perform again.
And not to mention, we said this too. It's like, what was one of the when we were talking about New Year's Eve resolutions, and we said to one of the brands to make friends, right? It seems like AEW is taking that on more so than anybody else. They're making friends with these indie brands, which they know that they have the wrestling Twitter, because they see how powerful wrestling Twitter is and how quickly they held Sammy Guevara to a match, and all of a sudden they suspended him with no problem. They sent him to sensitivity training, whatever the case may be. Does that atone for what he said? It's not my place. But I do like seeing that the company actually took responsibility and, acted rather than coming up with some other independent contractors. Let them fend for themselves. The company actually took it upon themselves to, make a definitive statement that stuff won't be tolerated, whether or not if you think the punishment was too extreme or lenient, whatever the case may be. At least we have a company that's holding people accountable. Your volume.
Boom. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Like, you have to. I have to believe that if we were not on lockdown, this TNT Championship would have been a belt that would have traveled to all of these different indie promotions.
Oh yeah.
In the same fashion that like Ric Flair used to do with the big gold belt back in the day. Travel to all these different promotions to put their biggest guys over.
Yeah.
And they found a way to do that, what I'm saying, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of the crisis, that they were able to like recognize talent and bring them down in Florida and put them in the system like that. So, like I said, it's still pushing on, man. It makes me excited as well. I don't know if you guys have still been paying attention to AEW Dark, but I want to say like maybe the last 3-4 episodes have been like down there pay-per-view level, like.
Yeah. And they're putting more and more matches on it now too. Yeah. They're stacking that card.
So you can't say they're not making good use of their people, and considering the fact that they still have an hour of television that they're still that TNT still wants to give them. How they're kind of presenting this forward and said, "Hey, you give us the extra hour. This is what we'll have for you."
Yeah. I did love Cody Rhodes snapping on fight. Was it Fightful.com the other day? Or Ringside News. I think it was one of the two. When they said, oh, AEW is getting the third hour for Dynamite. He's like, no, that's not true at all. It's like, yeah, I love it because now people are just putting this like, you guys are just coming out with the shit out of your ass because who are your sources at this point? You're not in the field. You're not at these events.
Exactly.
Where are you coming up with your stories? It's like, it's crazy. But it's just like, what do you think the odds that Warhorse actually they try to make an offer to Warhorse, whether it's a limited deal or not?
I said with any of those guys is 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say that the more great thing about what they're doing is that they're not taking that choice away from the talent themselves.
Right.
Come in, they could try it out, and if they don't sign, it could just be because that's not where they wanted to end up.
And plus, we have to take it into account as like the contract might be great and all because they're on national TV, broadcasted now on Fight TV and everything like that. But there's still money to be made elsewhere. So if they can get that freedom to roam when they need to,
exactly,
that's all the better for them.
Anyone up on WWE television will be like, oh man, saying like, that they're going to utilize a Warhorse or Eddie Kingston the way they should be. But if they sign a WWE contract, they're trapped until they decide, they don't want them anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
1 days after that,
I think it would be crazy if we don't mention it, but there is one huge free agent that everybody's kind of walking around eggshells, and that's Tessa Blanchard.
I don't think anybody's walking on eggshells. I think they don't want to fight.
WWE.
That's what I think it is at this point.
What we see on Twitter and stuff like that, it looks like WWE is just clamoring. It seems like Vince is not pulling the trigger on them.
Right. I think there are people. Yeah, I definitely think there are people within WWE who are all up in his ear, or other people's ear, like Bruce Prichard's ear. I think they recognize that they don't need her.
We've said it too. As like, how can you justify signing someone right now who is a talented wrestler who would elevate your women's division, but has so much baggage right now with all the with the accusations of racism and bullying behind the scenes? How can you justify signing someone like that when you just released a bunch of talent that could, if utilized properly, could probably do the same damn thing if you just gave them a chance? And
I will amend what I said on Twitter regarding the situation. I only care what either Sasha Banks or Big Swole say about Tessa Blanchard. Like, that's it. And Big Swole did actually come out and say something to that effect as well. She said that, she should come to AEW because her dad is there, and that this is the system that will help her fix certain issues. Because, once again, to go piggyback off your point with Sammy Guevara, I would imagine that something similar would happen to her if she came in. Like, yeah, you're going to come in, but you're going to do this.
sensitivity training, yeah, absolutely.
whatever. So
I mean, but
I would only defer to Expo or Sasha Banks.
one of the things that, I mean, as you somebody that kind of sees both sides of the picture, is like, what constitutes, if you're this private company like AEW is now, it's like, where is your wellness policy? Where is your diversity training? Where is your sensitivity training? Do you make that public so people can see, or are you just saying disappear from? We're going to put out this statement. You stay home for 2 weeks, and then you come back and say that you completed training. It's like there hasn't been any kind of taking them to task on it, because I guess they're giving the company the benefit of the doubt, because we've seen what it looks like on the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's like, it'll be interesting to see if somebody takes that to task, and when it does, what their response is going to be.
I also think Tessa Blanchard has making up to do from the business end of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Because how she went out in Impact, and again, speculation based on what we've heard. But if it was indeed true that she refused to do promos, if it's true that, she made no effort to come home, from a business point, regardless of how talented someone is and how you feel they'll act in a locker room, from a business standpoint, you may not jump to bring that into your company.
Yeah.
I won't say all the other stuff aside, because that stuff needs to be recognized, but we definitely know of one company that doesn't care about that stuff.
Yep.
So if that company isn't, I know there's people clamoring to sign her, but the optics of signing her would be rough, especially when you just released, what was it, almost 40% of your roster.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about, where is she willing to come in at? Because she might be thinking she's on par with the Sasha Banks, Asukas and Charlottes of the world. But, coming from Impact, I'm sure there's a few people within WWE would think differently.
Yeah.
You need to go to NXT and work your way through.
Or if they're going to give her like the Ronda Rousey treatment, straight to the title shot.
And I can't even comment on that.
I would have picked her for something like that before the controversy.
Yeah.
I would definitely just pull her straight into a program with Charlotte for who's like the real queen, who's the real 4 horsewoman, leader or whatnot. That would have been the storyline that I would like to, pull her into. But now with the controversy, it's like, yeah, I feel like you got to answer for some of that. You got to eat some crow.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice little campaign. Like she's got to make amends across the board.
And to me personally, I feel like her, withholding out. Maybe she was at the end of her contract or whatever, but her kind of holding out was her trying to circumvent that and avoid that. And nah, son.
Nah, you got to face that shit.
Right.
Because to my knowledge, has she even come out against anything or denied anything?
She's only denied the N-word, but that's it.
Yeah. So everything else is like,
everything.
You can blame me for anything else, but you can't call me a racist.
Yeah.
That's cool. I bet she doesn't see color either. Which leads a whole nother question, because then she's gonna have to get certified by a doctor if she's colorblind. But yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. We'll see what happens. Orange Cassidy, the push lately has been fun to see. I did watch that little thing. I thought there was a little hiccup though when he put his thumb down, and so somebody didn't hit that trigger right away to get all that. I was sitting there dying laughing the way Santana and Ortiz kind of oversold the fact that it was super slippery. I was like, well, that's not orange juice, man. That's Tang. it's super sticky.
Definitely the talent of Orange Cassidy and the wherewithal of Chris Jericho, at work.
This dude is just gold, man.
You don't have to. It's like we understand where AEW started and who we decided to start it with. We decided to start it with people who knew a little bit more about, the business and about television, things like that. But I feel like at this point, you don't need to tell AEW what you need to tell WWE, which is build more stars.
Yeah.
To tell that the AEW, they seem to instinctively know that, as if they're running a company full of wrestlers.
It's like, man, where did they get this insight from?
Right. So I mean, I'm they're doing things right that just make me excited to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, let you guys know again that I don't really watch. I didn't really have the opportunity to watch the television project, but I like texted you guys like a couple weeks ago, like, man, I really wish I was watching this live right now. Everything I'm seeing on AEW Dynamite, I'm seeing on my Twitter feed is like.
Yeah, they were going nuts for that Eddie Kingston match too. I mean,
I would have.
I went back and watched it. And I was like, okay. Let's see what
we're definitely going to compile a list of everybody, the top 10 people who were robbed of their live in front of a crowd moment.
I think number one is that Matt Hardy, man. Especially when he's standing in the crowd on the second deck, all of a sudden, just like this, he pops out of nowhere with the. I was like, that was supposed to be magical. That it was supposed to be, 30,000 fans screaming, delete. I mean, can you imagine what that football stadium would? We got to compile a list because that football stadium would have went nuts for that the Lake of Reincarnation for Matt Hardy. Get in the water, pendejo. Still one of my favorite lines. What do you call it? What else? I mean, there was something else that I was going to say. Completely forgot. We'd be foolish to not say best wishes to Kairi Sane, who's now left the company.
Who basically made the right decision for her life and her career.
Yeah, so salute to Kairi Sane. Thank you for all your pirate joyness that you brought us.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for the elbow.
Just think about the way they pushed this woman from the day she stepped in the door.
Yeah.
Mae Young Classic winner, NXT Women's Champion. You know what I'm saying? They put her over Shayna. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
She made roster. She made it to, women's tag team. She's one of the very few wrestlers that I can even think of, and I want to say the past 10 to 15 years that they let go with a win.
Straight up.
And it went over a champion at that. So, from what I understand, I think they still want to keep her on as some sort of ambassador so that when they are able to travel again, that, she'll be still part of the WWE brand.
Yep.
And I think if she does any in-ring stuff with them again, there's a couple of stories that I'm interested in. But, I mean, she made the right decision for her health.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
2 concussions 2 weeks in a row.
Not to mention all the stuff that she dealt with. Was it SummerSlam last year, or was it was SummerSlam last year, right?
Yeah, it was SummerSlam last year.
Yeah, so it's like, she's taken quite a few hits lately. Let's let it be. Let's let her enjoy this next phase of her life. Let's hope that it's a fortuitous one, and she's happy. She seems very happy with her. Asuka is gold on social media.
One of these shows coming up, we're going to really tackle the issue of WWE no longer being a wrestling company. Like, really driving that point home, because we have enough American data to compile to show you the difference between a wrestling company and whatever the hell WWE thinks they're doing. When it comes in terms to how they use professional wrestlers until they get injured or whatever, and then they throw them away, you know? Like,
Well, at the very least, they're showing us how other independent contractors across this country that just don't wrestle, that they do actually contracted work, how they routinely get treated across this country. So it might be a microcosm. You still eating chips? You want to show the bag again so maybe we can get a Ruffles sponsorship? Hey! Since yeah, Ruffles. Who knows if they're going to survive the next 2K? Since 2K got rid of Foot Locker, Jordan, and everything else, so they didn't have to pay them the sponsorship fees. Welcome to the Jordan Rec Center next year. The Rec.
Did anybody catch the picture, or actually the reality, that the Detroit Pistons jerseys are Jordan brand?
yeah, so
Well, Jordan's the official distributor now for all the NBA jerseys.
But that
Yeah. Jordan still owns the Pistons. They got a free D Rose, though. Bring him home. Let him retire in Chicago, man.
I don't think he's going to retire in Chicago, man.
No. I don't know what the hell they're doing in Chicago.
that's the one. Owners don't care about basketball anymore. Like,
Isn't it weird to watch that shit? Like, I watched the NBA game and saw all these random-ass people just popping up. They're, like, joining in these virtual fans. I'm like, it's like the last thing you need is a fan to walk up and really realize that he's not wearing any pants. Like, how long is before something like that happens, and then all of a sudden there's no more virtual fans in the court? You had Chris Bosh and Kerry Kittles, who I didn't think was, for some reason, I didn't think he was still alive.
Ooh.
oh wow.
Ooh.
I didn't know. When was the last time you heard Kerry Kittles?
I didn't think we'd be going there with it, though. I thought we might be going with Gerard's list of if you in jail or not, but I mean,
I'm trying to be better.
I'm just saying.
I don't want to think, especially in this day and age.
You know, some people do just retire quietly. It just, chill.
Nobody retires quietly in New Jersey.
Did he retire in Jersey? I thought he went somewhere else.
I don't remember anything about his career except that he was pretty good for New Jersey for a little bit. Jordan gave him, a 40-piece in '98, and that was about it because he was playing with them. That's when New Jersey started getting good, and then they get swept twice by San Antonio and by the Lakers in the finals, and here we are talking about Kerry Kittles in 2020. Like, what? Where are you? Somebody did say something disrespectful, so I got added to the Lane Tech alumni page on
Sorry
Facebook.
to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's actually been pretty entertaining because you see like the new age people and kind of like around my class and up, like just giving it to the old classes, especially since they petitioned to change the mascot, which was an Indian. So, in these heightened times where accountability seems to be through the roof, they kind of pressed them and now they're changing it. And all these people from the 60s, oh, it wasn't meant to be offensive. I'm sure it wasn't offensive to you in '68, but it's 2020. It's offensive. But so I forgot. Somebody made me feel real old when he was like, "Hey, remember when Mariano's first popped up over here by Lane Tech? That was 10 years ago." I'm like, "Bitch, I remember when that shit was a Dominic's. What are you talking about? That was 20 years ago." I was like, "No, I don't want to talk to you people anymore. Leave me alone." It was a Dominic's. Dominic's was cool. It was nice having, off-campus lunch breaks. Only 15 minutes.
I think that as we
That's not another podcast, by the way.
We're starting a list. I got a mental list of things that are gone forever. I think off-campus lunch is one of them.
No, I don't think so. Do you really want like?
Uh,
Do you really like these larger like a school like Lane Tech or DePaul College Prep that is opening up this fall? Like 300-400 kids in a lunch period in a lunchroom by themselves. Go outside. Take
go
that
out.
shit out.
Go outside where we can't control you.
They can't control the men's doors. What are you talking about?
Saying.
They got to stay in the bubble.
And that's what I'm saying. They're gonna have to stay in a bubble, man.
Yeah, we'll see. We're already getting the notices from the school about whether we intend to opt into our remote learning, and I think because of our situation, we're going full remote. I'm not chancing it, especially for little guy's mom. Not worth it.
Cool.
Not worth it at all. So hopefully everybody else takes the politics out of this shit and realizes that we aren't expendable as people. You take us
Brother,
seriously.
we're 3 months from an election.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting a lot worse before it gets a lot better.
You mean you're gonna take my TikTok? I just got used to it. This is why we can't have
Just
nice
say it, man.
Yeah.
This is gonna be one of the ugliest 3 months politically that we've.
And who's to say this asshole I should say if he loses. Who's to say this asshole, if he loses, is not going to give up the damn office in January?
I mean, that's
good thing there's a constitution that he fails to read, that if he doesn't vacate the office by January 8th, the Speaker of the House, who is Nancy Pelosi, will end up becoming the de facto president.
Right.
But, I mean, this could end up being like a White House down situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with seeing Washington, D.C. kind of implode.
I got friends there, man. I don't know.
I just want to see something different. Like I said, and we in a forum that we use to say representation matters. Until I see people look like the three of us in office that can speak for us and know what we need in our communities and in our our cities, can't tell me shit. I'm sorry.
If we could ever get to a point where we get a person brushing their beard like Gerard is now up at a podium during a Senate vote, I'll vote for that person twice.
The entire podcast, throwing it in my face, because usually I'm the one that's the one with down here. He's been stroking it. Look at that. It's fantastic. He's the entire time. Finish your thought.
Oh, my God.
I'm thinking about like Gordon Liu from Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's not quite that long, but it is great.
I'm never cutting it again, so it's just.
You
I'm
are
not
or not?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not touching mine again, and the hair either.
Yeah.
I
work in a unique situation, so I can't exactly.
I'm just walking in. I told them I want them to realize that I'm a visual representation of the stress they've caused me over the past 4.5 months.
Yeah.
This is stress personified. Look what you've done to me. You've made me look my age now. I looked late 20s. Now it's, you look exactly what you are, man. Talking about high school 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's par for the course. But as you can see, our Twitter handles, if you want to reach out to us, and we have our Twitter at Wisemen Wrestling Pod. No, that's Instagram and Facebook at Wisemen Wrestling Podcast. Our Twitter handle is still We Are the Wisemen. What was that?
I've been watching, like, individually. We've been kind of getting it on Twitter, man. Like,
I've been going at it.
everybody wants to smoke. Like, we have it.
I've got the fucking time, and especially if you see me at 3:00 in the morning, I've got the time. I put in some thought for this. I was like, pandemic or not, you can catch these hands. But it was
No, you can't catch those hands, man. They got Rona, man. No.
Oh no, I can get creative with this shit.
Let's get some nitro grills back here.
And 2 Infinity gauntlets he can put on too.
Yeah. Can you imagine getting backhanded with a toy like that?
Right.
Or like that one guy that I posted where he kind of like, and then just backhanded the dude. He kind of folded like a lawn chair. Yeah. But you can't even do that because now I got to go sanitize my hand.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Look at me. Going against everything I said in this podcast. I apologize. Let me get out of here so I can go wash my hands. But it was a pleasure meeting with you guys today. We will continue to do this. I do too. Also want to continue to see this through. I applaud you and I respect your drive, man. It's like, yeah, you are the de facto quarterback of this unit, and you got some out of shape tight ends that we just need you to throw the ball. We'll catch it, take it. He raised his eyebrows. He's like, yeah, I'm not catching the ball these days. We might have a quarterback controversy now. Look what I started. Welcome to Chicago.
There we go.
But we will. You can also follow us on YouTube, which this episode will be as soon as I get my laptop back from my wife. This is why I had to record this off an iPad, and it's going to the cloud. What cloud? We were just going to hope that the cloud is there so I can get it. But we will post this both on Anchor FM, which is our host for our content, and our YouTube page where you can see our glorious faces so you can see when we're posting these accidental ads. Show the ruffles back again. Show the ruffles back again. But we thank you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and everyone that's listening, and as a part of the audience, we hope that you and your family stay safe. Salute to all of our essential workers out there. You've really taken on an incredible burden, and we appreciate you. And I'll let Rod take it away with his famous words.
Yeah. So we back. We bike. And shout out to all the creators out there. Continue to with us. We're trying to be like y'all. So with that, just know that, in our lives and on this show, we will continue to be for the culture. Remember that you vote with your dollars. Your attention is currency. And even if you are a mark, make sure you leave a positive mark on this life.
So bad.